So in a little bit, I'm going to be sharing my screen and I'm going to be discussing about the Kanban, some Kanban practices. There are 6 Kanban practices, okay, what we call a class of service. There are 6 of them. We're going to be discussing through them. I'm going to be demonstrating my Kanban board, and I'm going to be using that as to illustrate the points that I'm making for your understanding. Now, come with me. Hello everyone, this is Karen Fomafung, your Agile Evangelist, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be talking about Kanban. Kanban is one of the many different Agile frameworks, and it is a very important topic today. So if this is your first time here, please subscribe to this channel and make sure you watch this video to the very end. We are actually starting a series on Kanban, which this one is the first video, so you don't miss out. Make sure that you are tuned to this channel. We also have a backup channel, Being Agile Consulting Remix. So if you don't want to miss out, we're going to be posting some more videos on our backup channel. Make sure you go to the description box and click to subscribe to that channel so you'll not miss out on anything. Now, let's go straight into the point. Why are we even talking about Kanban today? The reason why I think it is very important that we start having these conversations on Kanban is because most organizations that practices Scrum, that practices Agile Scrum, I would say that at least 80% of organizations that practices Scrum, they tend to use Kanban alongside. And so when Scrum Masters go for interview, I get so surprised when they miss wonderful opportunities just because they have no idea about Kanban. Oh, they don't take it seriously. You see, so I think it's high time we start having these conversations, and which is the starting. Right now, we are getting started. So as a Scrum Master, there is no way, you have to know Kanban. You really have to know, which is why part of our level 1 training, Kanban is a huge piece of it, you see, because it's something that you will have to face it in an interview and you will have to face it on the job. You see, there'll be times when you will need to switch into Kanban. There are times when you need to switch into Scrum, especially if you're going to be in the organization for a while. There are high chances that you will find yourself in that position, which is why you have to watch this video until the very end. Now, so Kanban, just like Scrum, is one of the many Agile frameworks, and it is mostly used for support work. And hardly ever would you have an organization that don't end up doing some sort of support work. And when I say support work, I mean supporting customers. So Kanban is best for the kind of work that is not very complex. Scrum fits complex work. Kanban is best for work that is not highly complex, that it's good for quick fixes. Kanban, teams also tend to use Kanban if their work items are not very, or their predictability probability is very low. You see, if the nature of their work is not as predictable, they will tend to use Kanban. If they are mostly doing support work, most of the time with support work, I'm just going to give a quick example of support work. Imagine that you have a team working for Microsoft, right? And what the team does is the team is focused on repairing computers. Customers can call in anytime and ask for a repair on their computer. You can never determine when a customer will call, you see. And as a result of that, you cannot lean on Scrum, because Scrum has this umbrella, this window, this is what we call boxes. And once they have kicked off a sprint, it is difficult to make changes. Once the sprint has been kicked off according to the way Scrum is designed. But with Kanban, you can do quick changes, and to be able to quickly adapt to customers' changing needs and constant changing priorities. Kanban, you can easily use Kanban, you see, because with Kanban, all what you have to do is you prioritize your your backlog, right? Your Kanban board. You prioritize your Kanban board and then focus on one item and move the one item across the board, working on it. And then as this new request keeps coming in from customers, you can consistently reprioritize and make those changes. You see, sometimes a team will have to make 10 changes in a day. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, just make sure that you are not multitasking according to Kanban best practices. Make sure that even though you have the ability to do these constant changes, just be sure that once you are working on something and it's already in progress, focus on this one fix, finish the fix, close it out, and put it aside. Then you click on the next one. So that is very possible with Kanban. So again, teams that have constant changing priorities, teams that don't have high predictability, their work predictability is very low, right? They are really not able to predict what they are capable. They are not able to predict, customers' changing needs. Teams that does support work, that mostly does support work. Those in a real world, those would be the teams that would turn to use the Kanban framework, because the Kanban framework is designed to accommodate that nature of work. However, Kanban, you can use Kanban to manage any form of work, really. Scrum teams can use Kanban to manage the Scrum kind of work. But one thing I've realized is that if a Scrum team is using Kanban, that Scrum team has to really be mature enough so that they can handle their work without having to go through the standard Scrum events. You see, they can handle their work without having to be watchful about the time boxes and all of that, and they trust their skills, they trust their competency, they trust their capability, and they are still able to deliver while using Kanban. So the point I'm trying to make is that it takes a lot of discipline. Instead, it takes a lot of discipline to be able to use Kanban successfully, even though it is so simple, but it takes a disciplined team to adopt Kanban, especially if it's a Scrum nature of work. If the work is complex, it takes a disciplined team to adopt Kanban and be successful with Kanban. Okay, now I would like us to talk. Okay, now I would like us to talk about some of the benefits or the uses of Kanban. So I'm going to be All right, now I would like us to talk about some of the benefits of using Kanban, or some of what we call Kanban practices, or we want to call them the classes of service. There are actually 6 of them. I'm going to be illustrating to you what we use Kanban for through these 6 Kanban practices. And I'm going to be using the Kanban board to illustrate my explanation to better help you understand. It's going to be very simple to understand. So please don't worry. If you have questions, you can always ask here, and no one is judging you. So please with me. All right. So now this is an example of a Kanban board. Actually, this is a Scrum version of board, but this is how a Kanban board looks like. All right, so now this is a typical example of a Kanban board. So a Kanban board is a simple tool like this one, buried in one of these project management tools like Jira, which is what I'm using right now. And you typically have 3 columns, and teams may add more columns really depending on their need. To do, in progress, and done. Now we're going to discuss through these 6 Kanban practices, and I'm going to be explaining using this board. The very first thing we use Kanban for is to evolve experimentally. We all may be aware that product development, regardless of the kind of product, is not easy. It's really not easy to develop products. So most of the times, organizations that want to take calculated risk, if they think about an idea, or if an idea comes up, they just don't want to dive into the idea without first validating that idea. So once they have that hypothesis, we want to first test the hypothesis and validate the hypothesis with evidence before we go ahead to continuously produce more. So Kanban has been designed naturally to help us achieve that. So again, the point I'm discussing, which is the first, is evolve experimentally on a product development. Now, for example, imagine that all of these items here is a whole product that we are looking to build, right? Let's assume that you're looking to maybe build a shopping website. You're looking to build a shopping website. So the first thing we want to do is we want to first create a little piece of this whole shopping website. The first thing we want to do is user registration. That's the first item we want to work on. Once we create this user registration, now again, just as an illustration, once we create this user registration, would give access to our target customers to see, let them know that this is what we are thinking of doing, and see how many people will click on that link and try to register. That alone will show the interest of people that may probably be buying our product if we finally create this product. Based on the information that we'll gather through this phase, it will validate our experiments, and then we'll use that information and continue further to develop more, to move forward in the steps of creating this product, as we continue to test our hypothesis and validate our hypothesis with evidence, and then we continue to evolve. So that is the first class, that is the first practice. Evolve experimentally. You're not just trying to evolve blindly. You're not just trying to take risk without calculating. You're actually making sure that you're taking calculated risk, so that you're not losing, so much. Yeah, that's the first thing. And then the second thing that we use Kanban for is to manage workflow. All right. Imagine that we have all these items here. It is very easy for us, seeing this Kanban board. Through this Kanban board, we can easily manage the flow of work. At this point, we know that we have a password reset, right? We have password reset as the work item that is in progress. And then through this Kanban board, once we are done with this item, we can easily pull it here. And then once it's done, we know that we can pick on the next one. You see, so you can manage your workflow through this board. That way you are avoiding bottleneck. You're making sure that we are not getting stuck. We are not doing so many things at a time, or context switching, and then we end up not delivering value to the customers, or we end up not even achieving anything. We only end up starting things and end up not finishing them. So yes, it helps us manage workflow, especially as a team, even as an individual. It helps you be able to manage your work just by seeing this. Some of the things that you could only imagine in your head, or leave them, or assume in your head that you're good, and then you end up missing out on things. But using a Kanban board like this will help you, efficiently manage the flow of your work. The thing that Kanban helps us do is to limit work in progress. By now, we all may already know that there is really nothing as multitasking. It's just a myth. What really exists is context switching. And so many times data has proven that context switching is inefficient. You end up doing less instead of more. So a Kanban board like this one helps us to limit work in progress. As a team, we can agree that, okay, because we don't want to end up context switching, let us only focus on one item. So as a result of that, as a Kanban team, you would agree that, okay, on the in progress column, each team member can only have a maximum of 2 work items in progress. You see, Done. We don't want to have no limit there. But on the in progress column, we can set a limit of 2 per person. Imagine that we have 5 team members working on this project. So in total, our work limit will be, we will set, I will be making another video to show us how we set WIP, how we set WIP on a board. So that's a whole other video on its own. So we can agree that our WIP, that is work in progress, is 10, right? So which means that each person should probably have maximum 2 work items on their in progress, but the ideal should be 1. But again, in reality, it's hardly ever like that for different reasons, dependencies, blockers. Team members may tend to have like 2 work items open, which is okay. But the point is have that conversation. So with that in mind, sometimes team member may miss it and then they keep pulling items. A team member may have 4 or 5 work items. Once is going over the established WIP, it's going to start signaling on your board. And based on that signal, that information radiator, you people will be able to have informed conversations and quickly make adjustments so that you're staying on track towards achieving your goal. You see? So that's one thing. And then the next thing that we use Kanban for is for visualization. Like you can see on this board right now. Just being able to visualize the progress of your work, it makes things easy. It simplifies conversation. It simplifies assumptions. It simplifies bottlenecks. It aligns, it helps people align on work progress. It helps people synchronize just by being able to visualize your work, the flow of your work, and everything, you see. So it helps you people stay in sync with the work progress. It brings trust on the team, you see. So that is another thing. And then the fourth thing that, or what we call Kanban practice, is that it helps us establish feedback loop, which is critical. So what we do is just by having a visual of our work flow, you see, we can easily have conversation. And through that conversation, we have information, informed feedback. And then once you gather that information from the conversation you're having as a team, you will make a decision. If it's a feedback that don't need any, if it's a positive feedback, great, you all are in sync on that. But if it's a feedback which is an opportunity for improvement, then you take action. That is how you establish feedback loop. So feedback information without action, according to the Kanban University, feedback information without action is useless. So once you have that feedback information, you take action on it. That is what we call feedback loop. You see, that's how you establish that feedback loop. Yeah, so that's another value or Kanban practice. Now, last but not the least, it helps us make policies. It helps us make our policies explicit. You see, so as a team, just by having conversations on the progress of your work, and you have agreed on your WIP limit, you've agreed on the metrics that you want to be using, and all of that through the visualization of your Kanban board, and then through all of this synchronization and the information, you can establish it. It makes your policies explicit. Right. And then these policies now you can save them in different tools like Confluence, sometimes even in your Jira. There may be a space in your Jira where you choose to save these things in, you see. So those are the 6 practices of Kanban, or what I would call the uses of Kanban. Now, I'm going to be ending. Now, Kanban is a very, very interesting topic. The last thing I want to say today is I'm going to be making another video. In our next series, we'll be talking about Kanban metrics, right? We'll be covering Kanban metrics. But one other thing that I would like to say is that any team can use Kanban. You must not only use, so based on my experience, most teams, they hardly use Kanban explicitly. They use Kanban in addition to whatever framework or methodology they are already using in their organization, which is why Kanban is not a methodology. Kanban, just like Scrum, is a framework, and you can now take it things here and there on the Kanban practice and add it to whatever you're already doing, you see, and that is how you're able to achieve results. That's what I've seen most organizations do. So yeah, hope this video was helpful. We will be ending here today, but before we do so, just before I forget, I want to say that our next Scrum Master training is coming up on the 1st of June. So if you still haven't subscribed, if you still haven't enrolled in our program and you're looking to land a job in the next 3 months, please do so. Now is the time. If you enroll in this June session, June, July, August, by the end of August, there is high probability that we will be celebrating you. I'm saying that for a fact. We have helped so far over 2,500 people achieve their goal of landing their jobs, and also our Agile Coaches mentoring program is already ongoing and it is so exciting. If you're an Agile Coach practicing, if you're an Agile Coach aspiring, if you're a working Scrum Master, you're looking to progress on your career ladder, reach out to us. We can help you achieve that through our wonderful mentoring program. So check on our website, go to the description box, you will see a link to our website. Visit our website and learn more about this information. I'm going to be ending here today again. My name is Karen Fomafung, your Agile Evangelist, and thank you so much for watching. Talk to you next time. Bye.